All right, so we've learned how to write a couple of lines of code and how to do a few things. At this point, it's really important that we start keeping some notes as to how all this works. Because a lot of this stuff is very technical and you will forget it. You will be pretty good at remembering most of it after you've done it a number of times, but you have to have a resource to go to where you can check on the things that you have learned already and remind yourself what those are. So what I am going to do is I've opened a fresh Google Doc here where I'm just going to keep a programming journal. I'm going to just write down all the things that I have learned how to do and show some examples of them. So I'm gonna start here by making myself two different sections. I'm gonna have let's have a code section, code, right? And then make some space here, and then we'll have maybe, I don't know, a vocabulary section. So depending on how your brain works and what you want to do, you might decide that these are maybe you want slightly different categories than what I've done here. Maybe you want more different categories than what I've put here. So just do whatever you need to do to make sure that you can remember what these things are and how they work so that you can do them again later. If you come back to this a year from now, you want to still be able to just look at what your notes were about these and just pick up where you left off based on your notes. You don't want to have to remember this because you will forget it if you walk away from it for a time. I've had the same programming journal since about the year 1998 or something, when I started looking at some HTML websites and pulling code off of the examples of the websites that I was looking at and learning how to sort of construct websites for just looking at the HTML code that was driving the websites that I was looking at there. So I sort of self-taught myself HTML, and I still have those notes. And every now and then I go back to them because I don't remember how to do a certain thing. It's not like I'm sitting around writing HTML websites all day, but that information is still there if and when I need it. So make yourself some kind of a document. Keep notes so that you can do the stuff later. Mostly for you guys that are in my class, you are going to want to have a place to look where you can study for a test. Yes, that's coming. Okay, so here's a couple of things that we want to do. Let's grab this. I'm just going to copy that. And we'll come over here, and in my code, I'm going to paste it. Okay, so that's an example of code right there. Underneath, let's see. Yeah, maybe I'll just indent right there. Okay, maybe I'll do this way. Let's declare a variable. And then I will come down underneath and tab that in. There is my example of declaring a variable. And then maybe underneath that, I'll just throw some bullet points. So start by saying what type of data, I don't know, what type of information the variable will hold. Yeah, I can spell. Okay. Then give a name to the variable with a lowercase first letter. Okay. Maybe I want to do this semicolon, right? Remember to put a semicolon on the end. So when I declare a variable, here's an example of the code, and here's some stuff for me to remember about what that actually was. I think that's pretty good for what I'm doing right now. Now, down here in the vocabulary, okay, so declare a variable. What does it mean to declare a variable? Actually, to declare a variable is to, this is writing the line of code that creates the variable. Creates with capital. Okay, that creates the variable. So when you're declaring the variable, that means that you're creating it. You're writing a line of code that makes it all of a sudden exist. And then up here in my code, here's an example of that, declare a variable. So what other things are we going to want to have so far in our programming journal? You've seen us declare a variable. You've seen us assign a value to a variable. So let's copy that and come over here, assign a value to a variable, right? And then underneath, I'm just going to paste that in. Looks like that. Give myself some, let's say, start with the variable name, right? Variable. Equals sign means is becoming equal to, not is equal to. Okay, so to me, that makes sense. I understand what I meant there. So the whole point is you guys should not necessarily be writing exactly what I'm writing. And I'm not going to show you all the things that I think you should have in here. I want you to take notes so that you remember everything you need to remember about this. Take notes as to a debug.log. How do I get text to show by putting, remember to put the quotes, remember to put the parentheses. Remember to put the plus sign in if you want text and a variable to show. So all those different things, anything that you do in code that you're saying, oh gosh, I'm probably going to have to do that again in the future, which is pretty much everything that we're going to do in code. Go over to your programming journal and make some notes. You're going to find after a while that you're not necessarily learning that many new things like you are right at the beginning. At the beginning, you're going to take tons and tons of notes. But later on, you're going to say, well, gosh, I'm just declaring a bunch of variables and then I'm assigning different values to them. And I'm only kind of doing the same, maybe 5 different operations over and over and over again. And I get creative about how I use them and in what order I use them to get different results and to do different things. But it's not like you're going to be constantly learning a ton of new things about how to write computer code. So your notes will serve you really well as you move forward, I think. But definitely, if you're in my class, of course, you're going to have to share. I'm asking you to create this document and share it with me so I can look at it from time to time and make sure that you've been taking these notes. You will get a grade on this. If you just happen to be looking at this, it's a good thing to have a programming journal where you've got some notes about what you know. So take my advice and do that. All right, onward and upward.